I thank the gentlewoman from California for going through this 36-page amendment and finding out that in addition to the harm that it would do to greater access to health care under the Affordable Care Act, that it also attempts to eliminate any reproductive freedom. One would think that the new vigilante law that has been unleashed in Texas would be enough for those who want to interfere with a woman's fundamental right to decide her own future. As that vigilante law runs free, and of course the only response to it from our Republican governor in Texas is that he's going to stop rape in Texas, which would be some kind of accomplishment, but doesn't seem to be too likely in the near future. And he unleashes the vigilantes not on the rapist, but on the woman or anyone who might aid her, from the taxi driver to the physician, to anyone who's counseled her on this. Apparently, the Republican concept of freedom only extends to the decision, the fundamental right to infect your neighbors with a disabilitating disease by not wearing a mask or refusing to be immunized. When public health is at risk, only the individual's vanity and comfort seems to matter, but not the fundamental right. Why should we have, they object to mandatory masks, but they don't seem to have any objection to mandatory motherhood, even in the event of rape or incest. I think that this is a deeply personal and complex medical decision, and we don't need Republicans in Texas or in Washington entrapping a woman into a permanent life-altering future that she may not want. Complete disregard for what her doctor may advise and absolute indifference to her basic constitutional right to privacy and reproductive freedom. This unconscionable mandate on motherhood cannot stand, and that's why the Biden administration is defending Texas women in the courtroom, and we must defend them here in Congress. First, it is by rejecting this amendment, but then we need to follow Congresswoman Chu's lead, I hope next week, in adopting the Women's Health Protection Act. This is legislation that she has written. It is essential legislation that would make unlawful many of the types of politically motivated restrictions, such as the outrageous Texas ban, which would remove women's ability to choose quality reproductive care. The horrid Supreme Court action that took place that let the Texas law stand shows the impact of these Trump-appointed justices. And Justice Sotomayor, in her defense, eloquently and powerfully said in part, quote, "The Texas state legislature has deputized the state's citizens as bounty hunters, offering them cash prizes for civilly prosecuting their neighbors' medical procedures. It cannot be the case that a state can evade federal judicial scrutiny by outsourcing the enforcement of unconstitutional laws to its citizenry," end quote. $10,000 bounties. That's the way Texas is interfering with this right. We should not add to it with this sorry amendment. We must not deputize government agencies as bounty hunters. We should reject this amendment and all of the extremism associated with it. I yield back.